October is one of my favorite months on Vancouver Island. That's when the Coho salmon start homing in on their natal streams, and the sea-run cutthroat aren't far behind. These big fish swim in the shallow waters of eastern Vancouver Island, sniffing out the beaches and the streams, and that's when they're in reach of anglers like us. One of my favorite flies for this time of year is the clouser minnow. Let me show you how I tie it. Hello everybody, welcome to my fly bench. Today we're going to be tying the red and white clouser minnow. Here are the materials you're going to need to tie this fly. Into my vise I've got a number 6 mustad stainless steel hook, model number 340707. I like the stainless steel hooks for marine saltwater use as it stands up better to the marine environment. You could tie this on a regular bronze hook or nickel plated hook from Tiemco. They will do the job, but I like the durability of the stainless steel and the fact that it won't rust in my fly box and spread rust throughout there. So I bring in the tying thread, and we're going to be tying in, the first thing we're going to be tying in is some eyes, and I like them about 1 eye length behind the eye. I need room up there to finish the head. So we're going to be tying in using bead chain eyes. Bead chain's available from Fly Mart. You can also get it from Cabela's, and they come in a whole slew of colors. I tend to use the standard natural color, the steel color, but don't let my practice limit your imagination. Now we're going in, as you can see, about 1 eye length behind with figure 8ing here. Now you need a lot of wraps here to secure that into place. And you can do a whole bunch of flies ahead of time this way and prepare yourself with a bunch of eyes before you actually get into tying the rest of the materials. And so what I'm going to do is a few wraps behind there, and then whip finish that, and then give it a touch of super glue to secure those eyes in place. And 4 wraps of that, of the whip finish, cut that off, make sure those eyes are nicely set on there, and just a touch of super glue, and then you're going to have to set that aside for 5-10 minutes to dry. If you tie a whole bunch of these at the same time, prepare heads. By the time you get to your last one, the first one will be dry and ready for you to go. Now that we've got those bead chains on there and these are dried and cured, I'm going to bring back our tying thread and secure it behind the bead chain eyes. Now, what the bead chain eyes will do is cause this fly most of the time to swim point up. As a result, if you're mimicking bait fish, you want this side to have the lighter color and the underside to have the darker color. So in this case, we're using a white polar bear, and we're going to be putting that on this side of the hook. If you can't get white polar bear, not to fret, calf tail will work, so will bucktail or synthetic hairs. I prefer the natural hairs as to the glow they have, and so I usually go with bucktail or calf tail as an alternative. But just before that, I've got several strands of crystal flash, the natural crystal flash, and I'll wrap that around the thread, just divide it over there, and then tie it in, wrap it in, anchor it just behind the eyes there. Then I want to cut those to about a hook length. You want the total tail to be about 2 hook lengths, so I'm just giving that a little tug and cutting it fairly long. I don't want it too long. As you're casting, it'll often catch on the bend of the hook and get all twisted around there, but I do want some length back there to represent the length of a bait fish. And we'll just give that a little trim. We've got some errant ones in there, and the hair will take care of the rest. So a little tuft of polar bear, white polar bear. I've had this for a long time and a good supply of it. I got years ago. That's why I'm still using it. It's such a beautiful material. Now I'll take the longer, you see the longer fibers there, and just pull those out and then stack them in with the rest of the bunch. And sparse is good here. These fly, less is more with flies like this, these streamer flies. And you don't want a whole big bunch of hair on there. Now I'm going to stack those so they come to about the same length as the crystal flash. Give those a couple of loose wraps and then cinch down and secure it in tightly there. We'll cut off the tag ends of that hair, pulling it up on it, and give it a snip. And we've given it a haircut there. And now we're going to make sure that that's secure in there. We've got the crystal flash, the polar bear, and at this point I give it a half hitch to make sure it's not going anywhere, because I'm going to be turning the hook upside down to tie in the darker layer, and in this case the red. Now I've gone with the dumbbell eyes. I'm just going to add this in here because there are other heavier eye options available, the dumbbell eyes, and with the shallow gradient on our beaches on the island, I didn't want this fly to sink too fast. A heavier set of eyes would probably sink it down into the rocks quicker than I want for the retrieves I want to use. And so the bead chain is an excellent choice there as an alternative. And you can get these bead chains at Fly Mart or Cabela's. I tend to stick with the natural stainless steel color, but they come in a plethora of colors, and my practice shouldn't limit your imagination. Again, now the red polar bear, I'm just pulling out some of those longest ones and stacking them in there. It can't use a stacker like you would with deer hair or elk hair. And here we go. We've got a nice even tuft there, not too much. And again, we're going in with about the same length as the white polar bear on top. And we're going to give it a couple of loose wraps and then cinch it down and secure it in there. Now that it's in there solidly, give that a little haircut in the bottom side. And then we come forward of the eyes there, and we're going to build up a nice head. We want a nice conical head in the red thread. It just adds to the overall look of the fly and finishes off the look of it. And now that we've built up a bit of a cone there, I'm going to give a touch of brushable super glue on the thread to secure it there. And we wrap that in there, and that glue will squeeze right into that head and cement that shut. Now we've got nice dry thread there. I'll bring up my whip finish tool and we'll give that 4 wraps to secure that head. Again, you can tie this in the red and white. I also tie it in yellow and red for in mimicking the old Mickey fin fly, which is still a great pattern for Coho and Cutthroat. And blue and green or blue and white. There's no end to color combinations, and again you can play with the colors with the bead chain eyes. Stainless steel hook will stand up to the salt water. This is a great fly in the fall. You're going to catch something on flies like this. Look for those slightly choppy days, the rippled water. Get out there in the early morning on the beach and the fog just lifting off the water. Chuck that out there. You're going to feel the tug. Good luck out there.